All right. So welcome, guys. This is not any kind of super fancy thing, but you guys are here on my page. It is Melissa Cruz, and I am, as you guys know, work in the real estate space and have a brokerage in Florida, and I'm also coaching real estate professionals. But I say all that to say that I am in Denver, as most of you guys know, and I have met some pretty cool people already, and it's only been 4 months. One of which I have on here with us today, Rod. Thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah,
Hey, thanks for having me.
of course, of course. So I figured I will kick off a new playlist on my channels with Meet My New Denver Friends, okay? And my intention
Nice.
is to introduce you guys. If you're in the Colorado state or the Denver area, I am looking to highlight people that I have met that have their own small business here so
Nice.
we can support locals. We can support each other. And instead of maybe paying thousands of dollars for marketing, we get to know each other and have word of mouth business. I mean, it's one way that I prefer to grow my business. It worked for me
Heck
in
yeah.
Florida, and
Yeah.
I hope to do the same thing here. So I want to introduce you guys to Rod, the health coverage.
Hey.
Yes, the health coverage guy. So Rod is a gentleman I met a few months ago. I actually found him in a Facebook group. He was promoting, or maybe one of the other people in the group were promoting a networking group. And
Yep.
again, as you guys know, because I talk about this frequently, I grew my business in Florida joining networking and referral groups. So one of the first things I wanted to do when I got here was join a freaking group, right? And so this is when I joined the meeting and got to know Rod and several of the other members, which you guys will start to meet soon. And so this is kind of how this all came about. So Rod, like I said, is the health coverage guy. He recently helped me get some health coverage myself because my insurance is only good in Florida, right? And so
Right?
he was
Not
he was
now.
very, very kind and knowledgeable about the products that they offer. And so I wanted to bring him to this platform to share with you guys
Thank
because,
you.
as you all know, whenever you have your own small business, this shit ain't covered. Okay, we have got to go out there and shop for these things on our own. And I wanted to bring you guys somebody who, again, was knowledgeable, knows the products,
Thank you.
and has a really incredible why. Okay, so I got a chance to meet with Rod a few weeks ago, and I got to learn a little bit about his story, which is what I'm going to ask him to share with you guys here today. All right, so
Excellent.
Rod, I know I've said a whole lot of words,
Right?
but um, people know that you're in the health industry, right? But
Yep.
can we kick this off with you sharing with me the story that you shared about your mom?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
that's the
I
root of why
absolutely
you do
will.
what you do. And
It
so,
really is.
yeah.
And I smile so I don't tear, but um my mother raised 7 kids. Like, let's just start there. And in her mid to late 50s, she suffered a stroke. And my mom and dad had insurance, right? Um, but she suffers a stroke. She goes to the hospital. And I remember him telling us, like, oh, it's just going to be a couple of days and she'll be fine. It was pretty minor. In that couple of days, her blood went sepsis. So she got a blood infection. That caused a heart attack. Now she's in the hospital for 20 some odd days or whatever. And the bill's over $2 million. And that's with insurance, right? But my parents bought apples. They thought they bought oranges, and they didn't find out till it was too late. So they were able to negotiate the bill with the hospital down to about 125, 130, something like that, right? Which is just an amazing, like, what? You're willing to drop like so much money, like that's, but whatever. And that's when my mom and dad lost the house. Like, all of us kids were finally out of the house. Like, it was going to be mom and dad time.
Mhm.
And that happened, and life was never the same since then.
Wow.
But
I
that's why I do what I do, because I want to make sure it's in my mind. It's one thing to know, oh yeah, that's right, I didn't know that was covered, versus, oh, what do you mean that's not covered, right? Those are two
right,
completely different days.
right.
So that's where I I I don't care if we do business or not. I just want you to understand,
Yeah,
because as long as you have your eyes open, the rest doesn't matter,
right.
right? Just know what
That's
is and what isn't.
It's one of my favorite things about you, because
Yeah.
every single time you talk and you get to share with people, it's like, listen, it's not about, yes, I do this as a business, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure that
Yeah.
you have complete understanding of what it is that you're purchasing so that that does not happen.
That's
Have
why I
rem-
do the way I do it. Yeah,
and
I
I've
really
remembered
do.
that story since you and I met because it's really the root of who you are and and why you do what you do.
No, it is.
It's sad, but it's also beautiful, because now
I
you
was
have
a mama's boy, man.
yeah, I mean, now you have the opportunity to really help people understand what this looks like. One thing, Rod, I don't think I've shared with the group yet is years ago when I was in Jersey and doing HR, part of my job for the people that were non-union was to help them to get their benefits. And so I had to go to the classes and meet with the state and
Oh
do
yeah.
because then I had to take that back and then teach people what they're signing up for. And even then I was maybe 90% sure. I was like, oh, because people have like kind of weird things going on. But it's a really big deal, and you make sure um that it matters at claim time, you
Yeah,
know?
that's because nothing matters till then. Like
Yeah.
nobody needs insurance till you need insurance, right? And that's just the unfortunate fact of America,
Yeah.
right?
I don't normally hear a lot of other people who do what you do talk about when it pays at claim time because you have like a slogan or something. I'm saying it
Well,
wrong,
yeah.
but
Well, I get, but that's the reality is that that's what matters is claim time, right?
yeah.
Because do you care if it costs you $100 to see a doctor? No, but you care when Timmy broke his arm and it's 5 grand,
Yeah.
right? Those are completely different conversations. Why not, hey, I was a kid. I was one of seven. I'm telling you right now, when I got into this industry and I learned how expensive it was for all the damage I did to myself, I spent a lot of time in the ER. I was like, "Oh, mom, I'm so sorry." Like she laughed at me.
Yeah.
She's like, I tried, but you just would never listen." And you're, "Oh, well, oh, yeah, you're right."
Yeah.
But
I think it's because you're a boy, because my son really gives me one for the money.
that's probably true. But I have 5 older brothers,
Yeah.
and they could talk me into doing anything.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be, that was my mistake. I wanted to be a stunt man when I was little. And that they could just say, "Oh, I guess you don't want to be a stunt man." And that would be, okay, fine, I'll jump off the garage onto
Yeah.
that stupid mattress. Can't even tell you how many times I did that.
Us mothers do not hear this.
I'm telling you, like seriously,
Fantastic.
there were neighborhood kids that couldn't play with the Heimlich boys
Oh, wow.
unless my sister was there. If my
Ah,
sister was there, anybody could play with us because
right, right,
they're not gonna like kill anybody if their
right. Well, she's
sister's
there.
there. Yeah,
That's
because she
funny.
was the princess. There's no doubt
Yeah.
about that.
Well, let me ask you this because I did have insurance in Florida
Yep,
and I initially went through the marketplace. So what
yep.
in your opinion, what would you say is the biggest difference for anybody again in any industry if you're a small
It's
business owner?
super, super easy. If you're a small business owner and you know that you have to have a surgery, you need to have something taken care of.
Mhm.
Absolutely, Obamacare, choose the gold plan, the top of the heap, because when you're doing that surgery, you're going to spend the most amount you can spend
Yeah.
on whatever plan you choose. So
Right.
you can kind of figure it that way. But if
Well,
you're not in that situation,
mhm,
it's it's a gamble, right? You're gambling because your deductible is the amount of money you have to pay
mhm,
before you pay a dime of the insurance doesn't pay anything
mhm,
until you meet that number, whatever that number
mhm.
is. So the lower the number, obviously, the sooner insurance starts paying,
Yeah.
right? Which is the goal. But if you're not needing that surgery, not needing that thing, you don't have a pre-existing um, situation where you have to see a doctor frequently, things like that. There's
Mhm.
plans out there where the insurance company pays first. So there's no deductible, like the one that you took, right? There's no deductible. So when you use it, in your case, you use it sparingly, right? You rarely go. So it's set up that if you do go, you're going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
And it's also set up so that if oh my God happens, you're going to have that taken care of too, right? So we
Right.
kind of looked out for you because accidents,
Big.
that's, I'm telling you, think
It,
anybody watching, like for real. Oh my goodness. Anybody watching for real. You've probably had more accidents in your life than you have sicknesses. And I
yeah.
don't mean car accidents. I mean slip and fall, bonk your head, cut your finger, needed stitches, like that kind of stuff. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and that's a great point you bring up because I remember, prior to starting my own business, being in a W-2, those were always talked about, but I was like, I have insurance. Why do I need all the extra stuff that you keep? Like, I just don't even need any of that, right? So I love that you brought that up because accidents do happen. And luckily I was okay, but gosh darn it, if I would have had an accident during that time, thinking that my insurance was just going to cover it and I didn't have that additional, accident coverage, I would have been in a really, really sticky place, you know? And so I appreciate you saying that because that's huge. That's a big piece of, I think people think it's
Yeah,
optional.
of all of
Oh, your sound went out, Rod. I can't hear you now. Is it the headphones? Oh, hold on. Let me pause the video. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Because technology freaking sucks ass sometimes, but
right? That was awesome. So I'm
we
glad we
make
made it through that, right? One catastrophe at a time.
yes, yes. So, okay, so I know that, open enrollment just ended, right? So if somebody is
So
looking
there's
for
still an open enroll.
insurance,
So it's kind of a weird thing. So enrollment for a plan to start on January 1st, right,
mhm,
ended December 15th.
okay.
But the actual complete all of open enrollment ends January 15th. But
Oh, nice.
anything between the two 15ths, it's actually 16th because 15th is a holiday this
Right.
year.
Yeah.
And or every year, I guess, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
And so it'll I lost it.
So
That
if
was the
someone's looking
worst.
for insurance, that's okay. If they're
Go
looking
ahead.
for insurance, open enrollment, you said for the
Oh,
year
I'm
end.
sorry. Yes, until the 16th, but it
Right.
doesn't, you can't get your plan effective until February 1st. But if
Okay.
that's your situation, like you have options,
Yeah.
right? That aren't necessarily restricted to that, the end of the middle of next month,
Yeah.
right? There's things that we can do year round for every situation, losing your
Oh, okay.
coverage, right? A lot of people have a kid turning 26. Your
Oh,
kid
yeah.
drops off of your plan. It's not anything you do, it's the
Yeah.
law, right?
Right.
They have to be on their own policy. So there's a lot of that. And that's where those are the things I focus on. I
Yeah.
help families, I help, small business owners. Like self-employed is a big one, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of us out there. There really, really are.
Yeah.
And I know just like myself, I'll spend the money if I know what I'm buying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and just like you, I gave you a good, better, best scenario. Which one
Mhm.
fits your style? What do you need?
Right.
Right? This is my lifestyle. This is my monthly. This is my whatever word you want to put on it, right? But that's that's where I'm at. As you found out, I'm low pressure.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I hope I provide information because I
Yeah.
try. I try to explain things in a way that I could. I got a lot of brothers, man, and so if I can make those guys understand,
Right?
I feel like I got a
You're good
pretty
to
good
go.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah. So if all the people that you were able to help or have helped,
Yep.
get health insurance, what would you say is the most common misconception when people are looking at a health coverage plan?
That the monthly price is all that matters,
Ah, okay.
right? So
Yeah.
no, that is not true. Your network is all that matters, right?
Nice.
Because when, the push comes to shove, and I know I've got a brain problem, I want the best brain guy. I don't care who you are, you probably feel the same,
Hmm.
right? Well, if you're on a plan where you have a small network, anything that is not a PPO network is going to
Hmm.
fall into what I'm talking about. You're
Yeah.
not going to get to choose your doctor. You're going to get, okay, here's the five that are in our network,
Yeah.
right? And that's how you start. You start hearing about medical bankruptcies when the poo hits the fan. People find out that,
Mhm.
oh, I bought that Christian share plan, you know, and find out, ooh, what? They run out of money and they don't have to pay.
Yeah.
It's a bad time. It sucks to be you, but you know, unfortunately, with a lot of that stuff, you don't find out. That's why I live at claim time because
Yeah,
that's all that matters. That's all that matters. When it comes time to pay the bill, how much do I have to pay?
yeah,
All of it should not be the answer.
yeah.
That should
Oh, no,
never be the answer.
never be
You
the
know what I'm
answer.
saying? Look, you had that arm surgery. You know what I'm saying? You don't plan an accident,
Right.
right? That happened, and all of a sudden, well, this is what I'm dealing with today. And
Yeah.
we're all the same. We're all the same. We all, oh, well, here's my problem now. Now I'm getting gray hair. It's like every time I hurt something, I'm like, oh man, I hope that doesn't last forever. Like, oh, I guess that's just gonna hurt forever now. That stinks.
That's funny.
So yeah, so good times.
Yeah. No, and you're so right. Like I was transitioning insurance around that time. And so my plan had just got into effect as well.
Yep.
Then my accident, then I fell like out of nowhere. I've never broken a bone in my life. And I shattered this MFR. Like I just
Right. Like you were
shattered it. I was like,
professional doing it. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And so when we looked at because I do send you what the actual bill was and then what your
Right.
insurance company paid and what you're paying out of pocket. I'm like, I lucked out because I wasn't until I met you, I wasn't necessarily thinking about claim time. I was more focused on how much is it going to cost me a month. I don't go to the doctors. I just need it for this. Not even
That's and
thinking
unfortunately,
that
that's what most
I'm not
people
going to
think
have an
about.
accident.
But
Right.
again, if you had to pay full price for that doctor visit, would it be so bad versus
Right.
full price on a surgery?
Right.
Right? I'll tell you right now, no network discount involved, right? The same bill you're talking about where the hospital sends you something, right? My son had appendicitis, common, and I can't remember all the bills, but only the surgery center fee, right? The room fee, right, was $63,000. After network discounts, it went down to just a little over 3 grand,
Yeah.
which tells me it's a $3,000 room, but whatever, right? But hey, I'll take your 63 if you're going to give it to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's where I would
Yeah.
have been at if I didn't have insurance, right? And I just got lucky that he bounces between me and his mom's. We're
Yeah.
divorced. His mom's insurance, and I was just glad that he was on the plan because I don't do anything with hers. That's you make
Yeah.
those decisions, right? You get that. Um, so yeah, but that was expensive. That was a big lesson learned. And he's a skateboarder. You know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness, the accident protection paid off for me so many times.
Right.
So many times.
Yeah, the older
And
I get, now I think about, I should just in case, after you fall one
oh,
time,
I'm telling
it's like
now I realize it hurts. It hurts
it
every
does.
single time.
It does. Oh my
Yeah. So
gosh.
like I said, I hope that doesn't last forever. That's where I'm
Yeah.
at.
Yeah. Now I know you hinted around this here and there a little bit, but could you share with people who is your ideal client, right? If I were to meet someone and they're in
My
this position, like how would I know that this was somebody that it is right up your alley or anybody?
Exactly. Well, that's the crazy part about my alley. It really is anybody, right?
Yeah.
Everybody needs health insurance. Whether you want it or not is a different situation,
Mhm.
but everybody needs it because again, it only matters the one day it matters. Like
Mhm.
honestly, hey man, I had this sudden heart attack. Am I covered?
Mhm.
What? There's a lot of people that the answer is no. And
Right.
unfortunately, with our diets and the way we are,
Mhm.
that number is getting younger and younger and younger,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to have gray hair anymore to have a heart attack.
Right. That's
You
scary.
you know what I mean? Like that's just real. Like when I was a kid, that was the mindset. Like, oh man, if you're old, well then of course you're going to get a heart attack.
Right.
But nobody talked about don't eat red meats and all that. You know what I
Right.
mean? I grew up
Well,
in a
I
meat
mean,
and
even
potatoes
cancer
house.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
No, that's a good point. Now, if people, and now you are licensed, you said in almost 40 states,
in
correct? Now, you didn't
almost
say
40
here, I
states,
just know that.
pretty much everywhere. It's a pretty thorough list
Yeah.
across the country.
Yeah. Now, if
Um,
people wanted to get in contact with you,
yep.
what would be the best way for them to be able to do that?
There's two ways. I'm going to get out of the way. You can
There
get
you
me through
go.
my website right there. And those letters just stand for Rod the Health Coverage Guy,
Makes sense. I'm so glad
right?
that you put that out the other day. I was like, oh yeah, duh.
Yeah, so you can reach me there or my phone number is 720 675-6897. You just made me realize I need to put that in my background.
There you go.
So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and even if you have questions, my services are free,
Yeah.
right? I'm paid by insurance companies.
Hmm.
So, and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Even if we don't do business, I'm here to help. If you want to understand what you have, let's talk.
Yeah. I
Hey,
love
I've
that.
got this plan, I've got that. All right, cool. Let's look. That's ground zero. Let's compare against that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
a
because
lot
there's
of,
so many different plans. You don't really know
well,
kind of what they all mean, what you're getting into.
exactly. And
So it's
and
very overwhelming.
what I run into a lot, you were asking, I kind of went off track with what kind of my ideal client.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of my clients are where the one parent's job has the insurance for everybody,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes, most times, the job gives the employee a lot of love. Like your insurance is really cheap, but you try to add a kid or a wife or a husband, any type of spouse, obviously. It starts to grow and grow, right? So then it comes down to, all right, I'm paying X amount for what am I getting? Right? Because every year your employer, they're not negotiating on your best interest.
Yeah.
99%. Every now and again, I'm not gonna lie, I've run into that unicorn,
Yeah.
but most of the time they're negotiating on it's going up how much? Okay, now I need it less than that.
Yeah.
Right? I know where last year was. I know where this year is. I need something anywhere in the middle. And that's unfortunately where you, as the end client, sacrifice your benefits,
Yeah.
right? They make
Yeah.
it
I
sound good.
remember, I'm trying to think when I go back to when I first started to get my own health insurance. I think I was paying in my one job like $4 a week. I was like, this is a
Oh,
steal.
yeah,
Luckily, I didn't
right.
need it.
Yeah,
Luckily,
now I would
I
gladly
needed it. I was
take
like,
it.
I may not have had anything covered.
Yeah, well, see, well, that's the crazy part. Since I can only speak since Obamacare, right?
Yeah.
Because the insurance world truly did change at
It did.
Obamacare,
Yeah.
right? So that was a weird. I'll just tell you now, if you were sick in America before Obamacare, it just sucked to be you.
Yeah.
There was no company insuring you for anything.
Yeah.
Now I have access to companies that'll insure you regardless of what your health condition is, right?
And that's a really good thing to know because a lot of companies, if you have a pre-existing condition, they won't take
Now
you.
you don't qualify. Exactly. And
Right.
that's a lot of companies, right?
Yeah.
And,
A lot of
is the
people.
system rigged against us? Absolutely. I don't care if you're healthy or if you're sick. It's rigged against what you have. If you're healthy, you've got health. It's rigged against you, right?
Mhm.
If you're not healthy, you have whatever you have and it's rigged
Right.
against you, right?
Right.
And, it's like casinos. They're not built as big as palaces for no reason, right? Insurance companies. I mean, those CEOs make a lot. I know I'm a health guy, but
Yeah.
I'm a regular person too. I have the same decisions. I need the same health coverage that I need to pay for by myself as everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Because there's only you either pay for it or your boss pays for it. There's only two ways.
Yep. Or for a lot of people, it goes to collections because people don't pay it.
Well, medical bankruptcy is the largest bankruptcy out of all of the bankruptcies.
Yeah.
Right? Pick your poison to get you bankrupt. Medical bankruptcy is like almost that. It's like 87, 90%, like a high number, way
Wow.
higher than you would think it is, right?
Yeah. That's
Because
crazy.
most people like, and look, they've got records of people joining Obamacare, right? Because Obamacare gives you that tax subsidy. So
Mhm.
then I'm only thinking of what my monthly number is,
Yeah.
right? Not looking at the fact, well, who has 5 grand? Who has 10 grand laying around when
Mhm.
uh-oh happens,
Yeah.
right? Well, now uh-oh happens to two people in your family in one year, right? So now you're going to tell me bare minimum, just saying that your deductible was 5 grand, that,
Mhm.
you know, 10 grand's just laying around somewhere in a year. I mean, that's hard to come by at my house.
Yeah. Well, and I was
I'm a
really
realist.
surprised. Yeah, I was really surprised at how, I mean, I'm in Colorado now, so it's different than Florida, but had the insurance that I had in Florida, had I not had the kids also on my insurance, it would have been close to $1,000. So I was really surprised when I sat down with you and said, listen, this is my situation. This is what my budget is. like, what are my options here? And I was around
Yep.
$200. Like, that's a freaking steal. In my opinion, from
Yeah.
my
No,
experience
I'm
on
with
the East
you.
Coast, like
Yeah.
that was a steal,
No.
right?
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about what, like the what ifs,
Well,
right? Like
well,
what
that was
happens,
it,
what am I
right?
looking at, right?
I laid it out on the table for you and
Yeah,
said, okay, here's the pros and cons of each one.
right.
Which one do you want?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I
and
was
it
really
was,
surprised. So
yeah.
that was super helpful.
Well, that's how I thank you because for real, that's what I try to do
Yeah.
because I I had my own sickness. I won't get into all of that, and I used insurance, and I bought. I was living on Verizon insurance, right? It was a company thing. I still had to pay my portion, but I'll tell you right now, when I got sick, I got meningitis. I was in the hospital for several days, and my maximum out of pocket on my plan was like $9,000. What came out of Rod's pocket was closer to $20,000,
Wow.
right? It's all about things that they don't cover, right?
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about insurance, which is why I think, right? Okay, well, if
Yeah.
this ever happens, here's some extra money that's going to come your way
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
nobody thinks about, oh crap, like, and here's the worst part. Now that whatever happened, what happens if you can't go back to work for a week, a month,
Mhm.
2 months, 6 months? Never, right? Like those are all real things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that's,
that's why I do what I do. So
oh,
thank you for letting me do this,
you're welcome. And that's why I wanted to bring you on because I know a bunch of other health people, right? But you talk
right?
about things that nobody else talks about. And
Which is
it made me think about things and look at things at a different lens because I'm pushing 40 myself, you know, and
right.
so I've got other things coming and happening and life is happening, changing, my body's changing, you know, like there's a lot of people in that bucket.
You're
And so
preaching, sister.
yeah, so I appreciate you just pivoting my mindset around, okay, what are you actually looking for? Like this is what do you
Yeah,
think
what do you need it
know?
for? Like, well,
So
that was funny because that's really how it started. Like, well, what do you need? What is
yeah,
it in a perfect
yeah,
world? What is it? Well, I go to the doctor 17 times. All right, we're looking for a 17 time plan. Like
right,
that's, you know what I'm saying?
right.
Hey, I go
Yeah,
to the doctor once a blue moon. All right, we're looking for a once in a blue moon style plan,
right. I love
right?
it. I love it. It's oh, that's so good. It makes me think about agents when they're with their customers talking to, you know, it's like laying out, like setting the
Well,
stage,
that's
right? Like
hey, that's
laying
it.
that foundation.
I'll do all the research for you. I won't bring junk to the table.
Yeah,
I will if you really want junk, but you're
yeah,
gonna know well ahead of this is junk.
yeah.
Like you're better off paying cash price. Like, there's
Yeah,
not a lot. There's not a lot. Like for real, if you don't have a network discount at a bare minimum, stop paying for it
yeah.
because
It's
you're
good stuff.
just paying to pay.
Yeah,
Like
good stuff.
what? Like a no network? How does that work?
Yeah, it's so
So
much. Yeah. So I am going to I'm going to be sharing this as well. Rod
uh-huh.
also has a Facebook page where he
Yes.
also posts a lot of
Rod, oh,
fantastic things.
I got
Yeah.
my fingers up. It's backwards to me. So whatever.
Oh,
Rod,
you're
the health coverage guy.
yeah. So be sure again if you're in. He's licensed in almost 40 states. If you're not sure if you're in a state that he covers, I highly recommend. But reach out to
If
me if you need
if
to.
nothing else, I know a human that
And that's
sells and is a good person in
yeah.
your state. That is
Yeah,
the
but
bare
definitely,
minimum.
yeah, but definitely follow him on his business page. You can message him there, ask questions. He posts a lot of really cool things on that page. So I will be sharing that as well with you guys. So you have all of Rod's information if you need it. But again, this is an important topic. It is not something that we always
It's not
are
going
putting
away.
in
That's
front. It, well, yeah, it's not
it's
going
not
away,
going away.
but it's also not
Not
something
in
that
any
a
of the
lot,
times where we're going to be young enough for it to matter, right?
right.
It might go away, but we're not going to feel the love on that one. I
Yeah.
just,
Well, and it's also something that a lot of people don't really kind of talk about, you know, like we get into our own
because
businesses and we're doing
nobody
more
needs it
things.
till the day they need it.
Exactly. So I appreciate you so much for jumping on today. I know it's a
Yep.
lot to cover in such a short amount of time, but I just wanted to
Right.
give you an opportunity to get to see you and learn a little bit about you and what you do. And because you really, really do care and I
I
really
do.
appreciate it about
I
you.
do.
So
So my parting words to everybody is know what your network is. Your plan is its own animal, but what's my network?
yeah,
When the poo hits the fan, what doctor can I go see?
right.
Right? Am I seeing someone I don't want to get into it, but am I seeing the best or am I seeing the 19th best?
Yeah.
The 37th best, the 108. I'm on the top 5,000. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right. Yeah. You just don't know. You got to plan ahead just in case. It's why you have life insurance too. It's a whole
right?
separate
Oh, that's,
conversation.
see, we're only talking about what happens when you live,
Right.
right? That other conversation is for when you don't live,
Right. And I'll be hitting up Joe for that one.
right? Exactly, exactly. So we got
Yes.
places to go for all of that.
We do, we do. So, Rod, thank you so much for jumping on. Like I
Thank
said, I'm
you.
gonna have this blasted out. I appreciate you, our new
Yep.
friendship we've been building together here, and just wanted to give you a little spotlight time.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
it. All right.
Of course.
Thanks, everyone. Ooh,
Take
gotta move
care.
my, I don't know where the camera lets me focus.
You're good.
Anyway, all right. Have a good day.
You too.